All right, everybody, I am going to try to get through this session. I've been trying to record myself talking and everything while I've been doing these sessions, just to bring you something a little bit more spontaneous and live while I work. But I've been noticing that my microphone has been cutting in and out, so I'm really going to I just try to unplug everything and plug it back in. So I'm going to try this again, see if I can't get through this okay this time. All right, so what I'm going to use today, I am starting out with the recipe I found online for faux Boro beads. And all I have is this intense blue. So I'm going to use that and then some silver foil. And on top of that, I'm going to add this iris gold frit. And for some reason, I know they don't make colors every year, like all of the colors, but for some reason, I cannot find any of the iris colors in frit or anything online. So if you have some, good for you. And if you don't, then the best thing to do is you can email the company and ask them when that frit will be available. And hopefully with a lot of interest, they will get that frit made. And that's all I can say about that. I only have a little bit of this stuff left, so I covet it. All right, let's get into this faux Boro bead. Now, the recipe online calls for cobalt blue. And if you have cobalt, go ahead and give that one a try first. If you don't have either of these blues, then a nice dark violet might work as well. So I'm going to start out. This color is a little on the stiff side, and I'm going to give a nice footprint bead there. It's kind of on the big side, but that's fine. That's about the width that I want to start with. So let me go ahead and add a little bit more of this glass and just gently turn my mandrel, only as fast as I need to go, around the bead release, and I'm going to slowly start to travel at an angle. And while I'm doing that, I'm also trying to make sure that the bead release on the mandrel is hot where the glass is moving to. And when I'm finished, I will slowly just cast away my glass and start heating to shape everything up. And I have to say with this one, I think this is the quickest shape bead I've ever made. Right into this, gosh, like a perfect little barrel shape bead here. Usually I have to do a little bit more, as you guys know, to get to my first shape, but that's it. So let's move along and add some silver foil. And I like to use the silver foil more so than silver leaf. It's a little thicker, and I just like the heaviness of it. However, if you only have silver foil, honestly, that's what the recipe called for. They use silver foil. So you can use either. And I'm just going to roll that right up. If you have silver foil, you could use several layers as well to get different effects. So the heavier your silver is, the different a kind of spacey effect you'll get from this. And I'm just going to spend a moment to burnish all of this down. And I kind of wasted a little bit of my silver foil, but I always want to make sure I have more than I need to get around the width of the bead. So anyway, all right, I'm going to go start heating this up, but first I want to move my frit a little closer to me, because that's what we're going to pick up next. I'm going to spend a little time heating in the silver foil first. And even without, even if you don't have this frit, just the way that the silver looks on top of the blue is just amazing. All right, I'm just going to get into my frit there and get a nice coating and start heating it all in. All right, I don't want to heat it in too close to the front of my torch. I don't want to burn off anything that might want to burn off in this in the iris color. They are heavy on the precious metals in these colors, and like gold, ruby, you know, sometimes you can get into a flame that might burn it off. So make sure you're in a good flame before you start working with your silver colors. And I'm just going to finish shaping this up. And then I'm going to get ready to start adding I want to do a double encasement. And I believe that the width or the length, I guess, of this bead is about 1 inch. My marvering pad there is 2 inches wide, so this is about 1 inch. All right, let me go ahead and get this clear hot. Now I want to cool my bead down real nice. I might heat it up here in a second just to, you know, kind of pre-warm it, but in all actuality, I want to cool it down while I'm heating up my clear. And because I was able to make a really nice straight barrel bead, the encasement layers will be nice and even as I swipe down. And it will be easier for me to do a quicker encasement. I'm also using a 5mm rod, and it melts quicker, and you can make a faster encasement that way. And it also helps that my bead is not too long. The longer the bead is, the more glass you have to get hot to make that full swipe down the side of the bead. This is just about 1 inch, which is a perfect amount, perfect size to practice on. So the important thing here is not to get the background hot at all. The glass that I'm adding is heating up the bead every time and just kind of holding that heat in there for a good, 10 seconds. And that gives me time to get my next gather hot and lay it down, just kind of overlapping my previous layer. And I'm getting closer here to the end. And I'll just zip it all up. All right, it looks pretty good. So let me go ahead, take a moment to just smooth everything down. And on my first encasement layer, the clear glass is bumpy. It's not a perfectly smooth surface. And if I just go to melt that in, excuse me, if I go to melt that in without rolling and smoothing down the clear first, it will look wavy underneath the clear. So what I like to do to get a nice looking layer underneath, scene, I guess, is to heat up the clear bumps first and roll them out and smooth the clear glass first and even out the clear around the bead before you start really soaking in the heat and getting a hotter and hotter surface. I find that it's easier just to gently coax the glass. It does take a bit longer. I don't know if it takes longer because heating up the bead all the way to a really hot bead takes time. But I just think that this gives you a better clarity underneath. Ooh, that rod's a little, I must have put it down too hot. So let me take a moment and pull that off. Make it look a little nicer so we can start our second encasement. And the second encasement is even easier than the first one because you are encasing over a clear layer. So you don't have to worry about anything underneath distorting. And if you're worried about encasement or you just want to practice it but not on top of something like this, you can easily just get some like a white and then add some transparent colors to it, and then try to encase over that. Even if you mess up, the clear going around or through the transparent colors almost give you a watercolor effect. And even if it's not a perfect encasement, it usually looks really beautiful. All right, and I am just almost done with the second encasement here. And once we're done with this, we are pretty much done adding glass to the mandrel. Finally. All right, now the first thing I want to do here is just smooth out my edges. Where the glass ends, the swiping technique, it leaves sometimes a rigid edge, some little points on the end, so I like to smooth those down first before I start to really get into the heat of the bead. And then here I am also just heating up the clear surface of my encasement to smooth it down and even it out. And if any of you have made these Boro beads before, let me know if what you think of them. I can't say that it really, the first thing that comes to mind is not necessarily a Boro bead, but when these iris colors came out, they came out before double helix colors. And I believe that this recipe is an old recipe because it's one of those, these iris colors. If you don't have heavy silver colors, it's hard to get this borosilicate color changing effect. And at the time, I think that this was like, all the rage, maybe. I don't know. But I just love playing around with these iris and silver colors and just seeing what kind of reactions I can get out of them. And I was really thankful to find this recipe online. All right, now that I have kind of rounded my edges out, I'm just going to start heating everything up, and this will be like my final heat of the bead. And I notice when I'm heating it that I have a little bit heavier clear on the right side than the left side, so I'm going to heat right in the center, and that should pull that clear glass a little bit more towards the center, and then I'll be done. Okay, cool. Now I just have to wait and see what happens. So I'm going to let this cool down. And I spend a lot of time just sitting, turning, and watching. I'm looking for the right heat. And for me, it first of all, it depends on the size of your bead, but either way, no matter how big or small your bead is, once it starts to cool down, you'll get a dull red in the center, depending on what colors you're using. And what I wait for is for that center to get a dull red, and that tells me that now the outer shell of the glass is much cooler. So before I put it away, I want to even out that heat one more time and add just a bit of heat to the surface. And when I put my beads away, I put them kind of on a ledge. There's a shelf in the back of my annealer that I rest my mandrel on so the bead never touches the ground. Anyway, I hope you all enjoy this one. Let me know what you think, and I hope to see you next time in the dungeon.